Welcome to the Secrets of the Bible channel. How David's beloved and beautiful son became his rebel. Absalom, the third son of King David and one of four sons we know of, possessed an insatiable ambition. He committed a grave act by killing his elder brother, Amnon, who had raped their sister. His relationship with his father had deteriorated so badly that he decided to rebel against him, kill him, and seize power. His plan was to overthrow his father, take the throne, and rule the kingdom. He swayed many people to his side and pursued the small army of loyalists to the king. However, in a crucial battle, he suffered defeat, resulting in more than 20 casualties, including his own life. The story of David and Absalom reveals the depth of a father's unwavering love. Absalom's journey begins when David concludes his war in Jordan and marries the daughter of the king of Geshur, Talmai. It's from this marriage that Absalom is born. Sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon the son of Ahinoam of Jezreel. His second, Kilib the son of Abigail the widow of Nabal of Carmel. The third, Absalom the son of Maacah daughter of Talmai king of Geshur. 2 Samuel 3 verses 2-3. Absalom is known for leading a rebellion against King David. During this rebellion, he forced David and his men to flee from Jerusalem toward the Jordan River. Absalom himself took control of the city and ruled from there for a time. Towards the end of the rebellion, a battle occurred between Absalom's forces and David's army in the forest of Ephraim, in the eastern part of Jordan. He lost his life in this battle. Absalom's rebellion stemmed from two main reasons. Firstly, he desired to become king himself. Secondly, he held a grudge against his father because David did not take action against his older son, Amnon. David failed to punish Amnon for his terrible act of raping Tamar. Therefore, Absalom sought revenge on Amnon by killing him. When King David heard all this, he was furious. And Absalom never said a word to Amnon, either good or bad. He hated Amnon because he had disgraced his sister Tamar. 2 Samuel 13 verses 21-22. After the terrible incident, Absalom didn't talk to Amnon for 2 whole years. He patiently waited for the right moment to take revenge on him. This opportunity came when he invited Amnon and all the king's sons to a big celebration at his estate. Absalom used the festive atmosphere to his advantage, and with the help of his friends, he took the life of his older brother, Amnon. Absalom was afraid of being punished for what he had done, so he ran away to his grandfather Talmai's place, where he stayed for 3 years. Joab, who was David's army minister, tried to convince David, with the support of most people, to let Absalom return to Jerusalem. David did agree, but he didn't see his son for 2 years until they finally made amends. When Absalom came back from Geshur, he secretly started planning a rebellion against his father. He gathered his followers in Hebron and then marched to Jerusalem with a large group of supporters. Hebron, which had been a symbol of support for David at the beginning of his reign, now backed Absalom as the next in line for the throne. Absalom, acting as a confident leader, won the people over with his impressive leadership skills, compliments, and promises. In all Israel, there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the top of his head to the sole of his foot, there was no blemish in him. Whenever he cut the hair of his head, he used to cut his hair once a year because it became too heavy for him. He would weigh it, and its weight was 200 shekels by the royal standard. 2 Samuel 14, verses 25-26. The power, the beauty, and the narcissism he possessed failed him in his rebellion. David's smart advisor, Ahithophel, decided to support Absalom in his rebellion. Ahithophel's initial advice to Absalom was, "Sleep with your father's concubines whom he left to take care of the palace. Then all Israel will hear that you have made yourself obnoxious to your father, and the hands of everyone with you will be more resolute." 2 Samuel 16 verse 21. He received them immediately and took action. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and he slept with his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. 2 Samuel 16 verse 22. Ahithophel's suggestion to Absalom was to lie with his father's concubines in Jerusalem. This was seen as a divine punishment for David's previous actions with Bathsheba and Uriah. His second counsel to Absalom posed a great danger to David. This advice was thwarted by a double agent named Hushai, who was a friend of the king. Hushai's plan was for him to stay in Jerusalem, pretend to side with Absalom, and wait for Absalom's army. After Absalom had lain with David's concubines, he sought Ahithophel's guidance on how to further his rebellion against David. Ahithophel proposed that he personally lead a small force to chase down and kill David. Though Ahithophel's counsel was wise, it could have resulted in significant harm to David. Fortunately for David, Absalom also consulted with Hushai, who advised him to remain in Jerusalem, gather a large force, and only then confront David in battle. Absalom accepted Hushai's counsel, and that's what allowed David to organize his army to regroup and prepare to face the rebels. As I recall, Ahithophel's effective plan involved him leading a small force to kill David. In contrast, Hushai suggested gathering a large army from Israel, with Absalom as its leader, to defeat David's forces. Absalom favored Hushai's plan because it made him the central figure. This prompted David to regain his composure, organize his forces, and prepare for a final battle. David instructed his commanders not to harm his rebellious son, Absalom. The king commanded Joab, Abishai and Ittai, "Be gentle with the young man Absalom for my sake." 2 Samuel 18 verse 5. Reality has its own plans, and so does Joab. He was killed because of his beauty. The hair was an expression of Absalom's beauty. It was he who failed him. As Absalom rode his horse in the forest of Ephraim during the battle with David's army, his hair got entangled in one of the branches of the Eleh tree. After finding Absalom hanging between heaven and earth, Joab killed him along with 10 other boys. So he took 3 javelins in his hand and plunged them into Absalom's heart, while Absalom was still alive in the oak tree. And 10 of Joab's armor-bearers surrounded Absalom, struck him, and killed him. 2 Samuel 18 verses 14 to 15. Joab knew that only Absalom's death would bring an end to the war. The story of the rebellious son's death is marked by David's sorrowful cries as he mourns Absalom's passing, with words of lamentation known from the Bible. "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." 2 Samuel 18 verse 33. David loved his son very much, even though his son rebelled and tried to harm him. Despite this, David mourned, but Joab couldn't believe what he was heard. The king was crying for his strong adversary, the one who had been ready to harm him without hesitation. Was the king truly grieving for him? David's tears had a negative impact on the people, and the celebrations of victory were stopped. The men stole into the city that day as men steal, and who are ashamed when they flee from battle. 2 Samuel 19 verse 3. As usual, Joab moved to action when he heard the crying. Then Joab went into the house to the king and said, "Today you have humiliated all your men, who have just saved your life and the lives of your sons and daughters, and the lives of your wives and concubines. You love those who hate you and hate those who love you. You have made it clear today that the commanders and their men mean nothing to you. I see that you would be pleased if Absalom were alive today and all of us were dead." 2 Samuel 19 verses 5 to 6. Joab not only reprimands David but also threatens him. "Now go out and encourage your men. I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out, not a man will be left with you by nightfall. This will be worse for you than all the calamities that have come on you from your youth till now." 2 Samuel 19 verse 7. In the end, the threat was effective, so the king got up and took his seat in the gateway. When the men were told, "The king is sitting in the gateway," they all came before him. 2 Samuel 19 verse 9. David regained his wits and went back to lead his people. This is how David's tragic story ends, with the loss of another son, a son he loved so much and did not return the love. David returned to himself and went to lead his people. This is how David's tragic story ends, with the loss of another son, a son he loved so much and did not return the love. We hope you learned something new today. If you did, give this video a like and share it with your friends. You can share with us what you know by leaving a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative and entertaining content. Thank you so much, and see you next time.